Hey everybody, Mark Herman, aka LA Bengals fan on most of the major platforms, and I am joined here, as always, with super fans Devin Circus and Jake Circus of the Jake Circus podcast, and this is the Who Day Bye Week Jungle Talk. Yeah, I know, it's bye week. Heath and I were talking on the recap about how Seattle was very upset their bye came, but I was this couldn't come for an early bye. We needed this. This is perfect timing for us.
Absolutely. We will go back to that Arizona game, and it was let's just win 2 games and get to the bye and get everybody
Yeah.
healthy.
Oh, I think ever since week one, that's all we've been thinking about, because people were like, well, let's shut down Joe. And I was thinking, if we shut down Joe, we're 1-5 going into the bye. There's just no chance. So, we got here. I'll take it.
Yep. No more Marvin Harrison talk.
No. Now, before there should never be. If we're in the Marvin Harrison discussion, let it be because we gave away our draft and traded up to get him, not because we're there naturally on the draft order. Before I forget, if you don't subscribe, please subscribe. It's all we ask. This is a show by fans for fans. So hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you get the alerts, and hit the thumbs up. It helps us out with the analytics. That's all we ask. And Jake, you do some amazing podcasts. Tell them where they can find your stuff.
Yep, Jake Circus Podcast Season 3, YouTube, Spotify. Just did a college football show, came out today, going over Washington and Oregon, top 12 teams, all that stuff. We went 1-1 again on the show, Mark.
Some more
brutal luck. Notre Dame, game of the century, they won by 28, obviously.
Oh, and yeah. South Carolina, I actually bet Notre Dame, so I never sweated it. I knew he wasn't going to was going to be consistent and let me down. So,
and then South Carolina -2. They had a 10-point lead with 3 minutes left, and they blew it. So 2 weeks ago, we had the Mizzou backdoor on the last play, and those are our only 2 losses.
Yes. I was watching that game and I go, oh, well, you know what? We'll either tie the game and go into overtime, or the game will end, but we're still going to cover. And then he just, they don't even think. They throw that pick six, and it's like, you just screwed all your alumni. You just screwed them all. So,
yeah. And current students who were
who are trying to pay their tuition by, the little side hustle, right? So, before we get started, I want to point something out. I think it was after the Arizona game, in the locker room speech, Zach talked about, breaking the season down into quarters. And he said, hey, guys, we were 1-3 in the first quarter. We're 1-0 in the second quarter. And I kind of like looking at that, like when you're talking about winning innings, or you're talking about winning quarters of games, let's just win the first quarter and then stack it with the second. And you kind of take, so, we're 2-0 in the second quarter. So what we're going to do today is we're going to readjust our predictions for the season, based on, the remaining 11 games we have. And so you can go up, you can go down. I mean, we have a little more information about the teams we're playing. So games that we thought we might not win, maybe we'll win. Games we thought wouldn't be as tough are going to be a lot tougher, like the Jacksonville game. Their defense is stout now. So we'll go through and we'll redo that. And then we'll also do our biggest disappointment from the first half, our biggest surprise, and a bold or crazy prediction for the second half of the season. So I think that's a really good format. And Devin, why don't you get us started on the, on your season outlook here?
All right. Thank you, Mark. So I'm not going to go game by game and give you wins and losses, because I may not be saving something for a prediction or two.
Okay.
But the way I look at it is, we knew all along coming out of the bye, 2 of the toughest games of the year are going to be at San Francisco and Buffalo. Must be a split. Can't go 0-2 there. Otherwise, backs are up against the wall. Hands are tied behind your back and you're blindfolded.
Right.
So I really look at this season, the rest of the season, 11 games left in 3 segments. We've got the 6 games where we have to go 4-2. If we go 3-3 and we're left 6-6, kind of painting ourselves into a corner. You go 4-2 in those games. You've got 2 very winnable games at home where, you go 4-2, you win those 2. Now you're 6-2 in that segment. And that puts us at 9-6, definitely in probably holding a wild card spot at the time.
Right.
And then you got 3 tough games to close, and you win 2 out of 3. And what does that give us? That would make us 11-7 and very much in the playoffs. I would think 11 games should get you in the playoffs. But you talked about quarters. I'm breaking it up into further segments. Got to win 4 out of 6, and that's obviously in the locker room. They're not talking about that. They're not thinking about that. It's one game at a time.
Right.
But as fans, we can do that. And forefront on my mind is getting everybody healthy, coming out of the bye, and winning 4 out of 6.
Yeah, I kind of, I'm going to piggyback right off you because I kind of looked at things almost the same. I looked at that same 6-game period and I said, okay, we need to get a split between San Francisco and Buffalo. And if we win in San Francisco, we're probably going to have an emotional letdown. And so it'd be great if we win them both. Or if we lose in San Francisco, we come back and we probably pound the Bills. So, and the Bills look very beatable. The Chiefs look very beatable. And San Francisco, after last week, all of a sudden looks human. So, but I was the same way. We got to get one of the first two, and we got to go 4-2 in that grouping. And I'm figuring there's one stumble kind of along the way in those 4 games. I don't know where it's going to be. Houston's got a good defense. It's Baltimore again. I really don't want to lose both our Baltimore games. Maybe it's the Steelers. Maybe, like I said, Jacksonville is a much tougher game than we thought it was going to be. And then I'm thinking kind of the same thing. I was like, you have Indy and Minnesota. We've got to win both of those. Those are games, especially Richardson's shut down for the year now.
At home. Both
of those
home.
are back-to-back home games. We have to win both those. And then I was the same thing. Pittsburgh, Kansas City, Cleveland. I'd like to win the two. If we lose in Kansas City, no one's going to shame us. It's in Kansas City. That game, by the way, will probably be flexed into prime time because the nighttime game, currently the nighttime game in week 17, Green Bay, Minnesota. That's not going to be the nighttime game for NBC. We are definite candidate. Cincinnati at Kansas City is definitely a flex game into Nitro, but I'm kind of along the same thing. So I'm staying with my original 11-6 is what it gets us back to. So, and it's just winning a couple more games on the back end than I thought we were going to win. Now, Jake, you are at 13-3 on your season prediction. So I'm
14-3.
It's going to be 14-2. Yeah, I'm figuring there's going to be an adjustment.
17-game schedule, Mark. 17 games.
Yeah. So I'm figuring there's going to be it takes me, I still say San Diego Chargers, so I'll still say Oakland Raiders sometimes. So it's, it takes time. It's teaching an old dog a new line. So, but Jake, what are you doing with your prediction?
Well, my old man still calls the Pac-12 the Pac-10. He's been doing it for 10 years.
So, hey,
maybe he was just foreshadowing that eventually turning into the Pac-2. So he was ahead of everybody else.
Yeah.
I think it's fine to group it into segments of 3. Obviously, the 6 games. What is this? Oh yeah, 6 games. Because the Buffalo game kicks off a stretch of 3 primetime games in 5 weeks with the Sunday night against Buffalo, Thursday against Baltimore. That's going to be annoying. And then Monday night in Jacksonville. And then you guys mentioned the KC game. That's not going to get flexed. That is the 4:30 CBS game with Nance and Romo. So they won't flex that one.
Right.
But I'm with you on Minnesota, Green Bay getting flexed out, obviously.
We all know that game's not going to be in the nighttime.
Yeah,
but it won't be us. But you can look at the next week with Cleveland, and if history says anything, Cleveland won't be playing for anything by week 18. But if this Cleveland team is different, which I think they are, that game very well might be for the division, depending on how Baltimore finishes that. So maybe even if it's for a wild card spot, that game can be because they always flex a week 18 division game that has playoff implications.
Oh yeah,
so that could be a potential flex candidate.
Well, and
so I'm with you there.
Remember, Jake, sorry, they did something different they've never done this year. In week 18, the days aren't even announced, and they're going to announce who's Saturday, who's Sunday a week or 2 before week 18.
Okay.
We're announced. We're Sunday. I think the days are announced. The times aren't announced. We're Sunday on that day.
Yeah, and they will flex.
We have
the game. We
have our game,
playoff game, basically.
Yeah. Our Pittsburgh game is Saturday, Christmas weekend. That's a Saturday game, afternoon, NBC in Pittsburgh. So I don't want to look towards mid-December. I mean, we're not even in November yet. We're mid-October right now. But I think that San Fran and Buffalo, obviously 2 huge games out of the bye. I like how we match up against Buffalo a lot more than San Fran.
Yes.
I love how we match up against Buffalo. I loved it last year. Same thing this year. Same stuff. They're hurt. They were hurt for the Monday night game last year. They were hurt during the postseason. It's even worse now. They're going through some struggles. They can't stop the run. They really can't run the ball either. Josh Allen's in his hero ball phase and it never really ends well. So I do like that Buffalo matchup at home. That crowd is going to be absolutely fucking insane. And yeah, they just gotta go survive in San Fran. Maybe we get some injury help, and Tran and McCaffrey and Debo are a little banged up. They'll probably be banged up even if they're out there. Don't necessarily like that matchup, but I don't know. Yes,
me, it's
they're
about
not gonna
Shanahan.
go. They're not gonna go 14-3. And I do love the Jacksonville matchup. I know a lot of people are worried about Jacksonville. Jacksonville's been the exact team that I thought they were going to be preseason. They're not a world beater. They have a great quarterback and a great head coach. They're thin on defense. Their guys have played well. They don't get consistent pressure. We're not going to try to run the ball against any of these teams that can really that are really good against the run. Jacksonville is, but their defense is not as good as people think it is. Better than last year for sure, but it's not a world beater. These AFC teams aren't world beaters. I mean, obviously we're not, but I think being at 3-3, you can set that aside. But I think the rest of the schedule right now looks a little bit better than it did in August, and that's including Cleveland, who I think is still really good. Pittsburgh, who is a lot worse than I thought they were going to be preseason. I thought all of us did as well. So we still got 2 games against them, and then one more each against Baltimore and Cleveland.
Yeah. So what's your record?
I think we will sweep Pittsburgh just like last year. No, not like, oh my God. No, what should have been last year, but I think we swept Pittsburgh in 2021. So I think we'll do that.
Could
Kill
make
them
an
both
extra
times.
point or field goal opening day on my birthday last year. Believe me, I remember.
I would imagine. Let me go through this. So the 4 hardest games remaining are all on the road. So KC, Baltimore. No, just 3. KC, Baltimore, San Fran. Oh yeah, Jacksonville. So KC, Jacksonville, Baltimore, San Fran. I'll give them 2-2, and then I think they'll win out at home. So 2 or 3 losses. So what's that? 11-6. That's what I'll go with.
Okay, there you go.
I think we roll Buffalo.
Yeah, I think we do too. But sometimes there's an emotional letdown. So if they go into San Francisco and pull it off, and they're the talk of the week, they start watching too much television and listening to the press, and the next thing you know, Buffalo is going to, just like Tennessee, Buffalo's going to come in looking for payback. We've knocked this team out of the postseason. So, like I said, I'm not saying we can't win both, but it's the mindset. So I would love to win both of those. We've been winning both of those, and people, all of a sudden, the odds of us winning the North are going to change quickly. So
two things.
And if we're looking at look aheads, right now San Fran is -6, and then we are a pick'em against Buffalo.
Right,
us there,
which means they have Buffalo ahead of us if it's a pick'em in Cincinnati.
Right.
Yeah. So
2 things you guys said that got me thinking. First and foremost, I didn't realize that Baltimore game was Thursday night. If you're going to pick where you want your Thursday night coming after a game and before the next one, I think that's an ideal spot. You look at the entire schedule, and look, the Texans are better. They're playing good defense. D'Amico Ryans has them playing. But for the short week, I'll take Texans into Baltimore, and I'll gladly take 10 days off in between Baltimore and Pittsburgh. So, that does us a little bit of favor. And, look, if we can get hot and beat San Fran, I think this team will look to do exactly. This team's I don't know about comfortable, but this team's going to have a good memory of rattling off what we wind up winning 11 or 12 straight last year.
12. Franchise record.
If they pull off San Fran, look out, because the makings there.
And to add on to that Pittsburgh thing, Pittsburgh not only doesn't have like a long week, like they're at a rest disadvantage is what it's called. They go to Cleveland the week before.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah. And, I hate to draw baseball analogies and stuff, but you look at like a team like the Phillies, and they're used to performing Last year, they showed they can do it, and they did the same thing this year. They bounced the Braves, who had the best record in baseball. So it's kind of the mindset. Oh, we can do this. We heard the team talk about, hey, come on, we started 0-2 last year and made the AFC champion. This is a team that you don't want to dig these holes, but it's better if you truly believe you can come back. And I think this team can. The year before, when we went to the Super Bowl, they came out of the bye because I was at the Raider game in Vegas, and they didn't lose a game after that. They just rolled right on through, straight to the Super Bowl. So this team has shown over the past couple of years that they can string together, stack those wins.
And the irony is, if you remember last year when we were doing our preseason 2022 show, what was our mantra? We got to be 5-1 before we hit the back half of the schedule because it's daunting.
Right.
And we just spit on that daunting schedule with 12. And it's the same thing this year.
Yeah, exactly. So
I think we lost twice. We lost actually 3 times after the Raiders game. We lost to the Chargers, we lost to the Niners, and then we lost the Browns game week 18 after we had already clinched. But the point stands. But
the point, that we strung them together. We came out hot. So hey, you know what? It's guy can dream, can he? So let's go into let's start with the negative first. Our biggest disappointment, in the first half of the season. I mean, I don't know whether you expected it or didn't expect it. I mean, I've got 3 of them down here. I can go first. I talked about this with Heath on the recap show. To me, Miles Murphy's got to be our biggest disappointment. We could have gone so many places with that first-round pick. We could have taken the kid on Detroit, who's the tight end. They picked him up in the second round. He's done great. We could have I'm not saying it's a bust yet because it's way too early to say that. But to me, Miles Murphy in the first round has been a huge disappointment. He's been zero impact. I think we could have done a lot more with that pick. So that's a disappointment for me.
I feel like I'm listening to Heath last year about last year's first round pick.
So, hey, you know what? You got to talk Heath off the ledge. So,
I asked Jake watches games differently than us, and he's my go-to on things that aren't obvious. I'll let him talk about Murphy, but if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, his playing time has increased a little bit. His effectiveness has increased a little bit. No, he's not going to get any votes for Defensive Player of the Year. No, he's not going to win any awards or anything, but he's getting valuable reps. Maybe they're just putting him in spots where they know he can thrive. And if next year he can do what Dax Hill is doing this year, I'm happy. But Jake, you know it better than me. What are your thoughts on Murphy?
He's played 34 snaps.
That's it.
Which equates to half a game. He's 21 years old. He's not even 22 yet. Let's relax on Miles Murphy.
We could have picked somebody up
but he was never going to
be an impact player at that.
He was never going to play a lot this year. We knew that. They have their pass rushers. I said on the draft show he was going to be behind Cam Sample, and Cam Sample's having a solid year. He looks solid.
Yeah.
Sample's actually our 6th highest graded defender on defense.
Right. So
right behind Sam Hubbard.
The other point we've talked about this before about how this team's constructed and what lies ahead. This team, when they started building a winner in 2019, it started with the defense in free agency. The offense was drafted, and it shifted now because now we got to pay the offense, and all the money's going to the offense. And look at all the key draft picks in the last 2 years. They're backfilling defensive secondary a little bit of defensive line, because all these guys are coming off the books and we're not going to be able to pay anybody on the defense. So the DJ Turners, the Jordan Battles, the Miles Murphys, that's the next wave when Hilton, Awuzie, hopefully not Reeder. I know Hendrickson was just re-signed. When these guys start to leave, that needs to be refilled on the draft. So, yeah, Sam Laporta would be great to have, but I really think that the first 3 rounds were very strategic about where this team's going to go in the next 3 years, because Burrow got paid, Chase is going to get paid, and jury's out on T. Higgins, but he's going to need to get paid or he's gone.
Yeah, well, one of the things I mentioned on the recap was also we could have done something other than Nick Scott, because Nick Scott is another disappointment for me. He has not been anywhere near a replacement for Bell or Bates.
No, he's been bad.
We weren't looking for him to replace both, but it would have been nice if he could have been close to a lateral move on one of them, and he's just been a disappointment. He's not a good cover guy. He's not a ball hawk. There's just nothing special about him, and we could have maybe dealt with that. Now, I know we got Battle in the third, and I'm hoping we see more of him in the second half of the year.
Battle's been good.
Yeah, so but we could have used it there too. Staying on the same theory, we could have used it there too. And so like I said, I'm not by any means calling Miles Murphy a bust. I was hard on Dax Hill the first year too, but he's now emerged and we love the guy. I mean, obviously, Dax Hill and CTB have been just amazing acquisitions in our defense. But so I'm not calling him a bust, but we could have gone safety with that too. So there's a lot of places we could have gone.
The last 2 years, we've been in a position where we didn't need to draft immediate need. We drafted big picture need.
Right.
And I firmly, Jake and I have had these conversations. It's pretty clear. They drafted Dax Hill knowing, and I remember Jake and I were talking when the Dax Hill pick was made, and it was, now we know what's going to happen with Jesse.
Yes, exactly.
With the rest of the set with Turner and Battle, the writing's on the wall. A lot of the defense is going to walk, and the money's going to the offense.
Right. So,
all right. I have one more thing to say about the Murphy thing. By the way, you said that they should have taken safety. I don't mean to keep going after you, but Jordan Battle has played. Jordan Battle has played the second most snaps out of all the rookie safeties. The only safety that has played more is a guy I've never heard of, Jordan Howden, who went to Minnesota, was drafted in the 5th round for New Orleans. So we got a safety,
right?
Like, okay, look at what this is for everybody who, maybe won't understand what the Bengals are going to be thinking over the next 5 years in terms of draft strategy. But when you're consistently picking 27 to 32, you're not trying to take guys who are going to play year one, because when you get that much later into the round, you're drafting for traits, and you're drafting guys who have a few really solid traits that if you can develop, because you're a good team, so you know how to develop players, then he can turn to a superstar. Miles Murphy is 21 years old from Clemson. Haddock has super twitchy, has a really solid NFL traits that when he gets playing time, he's going to pop. Same thing from Dax Hill. That's why the Bengals keep taking these guys from Alabama and Clemson and LSU and Michigan. DJ Turner has been fantastic. DJ Turner has been fantastic, by the way. That was going to be my surprise, but I'll give out my first. Oh, well, the Chiefs, last year, George Karlaftis didn't play he played pretty solidly for a rookie. Didn't play like every snap, but was really good. Now he's their second best pass rusher and would be their best pass rusher if Chris Jones didn't exist. And then they took what's his name? I'm finding it. Joshua Williams. They took Joshua Williams in the 4th round in 2022. Super fast, really good NFL traits. Is their second best corner. Like, not everybody can get a Trent McDuffie at the end of round 1 and turn into one of the best corners in the league his rookie year. Even though I wanted Trent McDuffie 2 years ago, I would have taken him over Dax Hill, and now he's a star. But that's fine. Anyways, biggest.
Wait. Speaking of who you wanted in the Chiefs draft, aren't they the ones that drafted Trey Hill in like the 5th round, who I badly wanted? That's an All-Pro.
Yes, but the Bengals medical team found like perennial heart failure that somehow he got fixed. Like Trey Hill was a 2nd round pick. He was great at Tennessee, and then his heart failed, and he had like blood clots. It like blood clots in his lung. I think he was even the last pick in the 6th round. Yeah. Anyways, I think there's only one discipline, other than Burrow and Zach Taylor. I think it's T. Higgins. Like, T. Higgins has to be top of the line. Like, aside the injury, there's been times this year where he's looked like he's had no interest in being out there. This is a really interesting T. Higgins stat that PFF has. He is only catching 41% of his targets this year. He's been targeted 34 times. He only has 14 catches. And that is including a Baltimore game. First of all, week 1, 7 targets, no catches, fine, rain, whatever, Burrow, calf, whatever. Since that game, 20 targets, 6 catches.
And I
including a missed game.
Struggling on the contested catch, which is his strength. I mean, it's one of the reasons why we were so high on him, and why he's been so productive in the beginning is the contested catch, and that's not been a strength this season so far. So I'd agree with you on that.
On one set of rankings I just looked at, he's the 65th ranked wide receiver right now. through, what are we, 6 games. We talked about it the night on our recap of the Rams game. There were 2 plays where he had a drop, Burrow missed him, and look, players make mistakes, players make errors, but the body language told, I mean, my phone was blowing up from people that don't give 2 squats about the Bengals, about how bad T. Higgins was and what the hell is he doing. But as somebody that has coached youth baseball for my whole life and been around kids in sports, that body language said, I don't want to be here. And look, there's plenty of time to turn it around. I know he's hurt right now. Hopefully the ball gets him right and we get back to the Batman and Robin duo. But, you know, at this point, are we going to give him $25 million in tag?
No one is.
And you're not going to get anything for him in a trade right now.
He should be motivated, because if he's not going to be re-signed here, you have to show everybody, hey, I can be your number one. I don't think he's shown the rest of the NFL that. And that should be his primary motivation.
Yeah. Like the thing last year is what doesn't make any sense to me right now is T made a lot of money last year with the way he played when Jamar was out. I mean, he was a number one guy. Like the reason why we won all those games, we didn't lose a single game that Jamar missed, which is
correct.
Like, what the fuck? He was unbelievable when Jamar didn't play, but he knows he's not the number one in this offense. And I can only imagine what he's thinking right now with all this attention that this Jamar 7-11 thing is getting, because like Jamar is this at worst the second or third best receiver in football. And then there's T who's, you know, I don't know the whole contract situation. If they offered him, if he declined it, I assume they came in super lowballed him and he declined it, got pissed off. Same thing they did with Jesse. But now T has to think to himself, well, what do I want this end of the season to be like? Because I'm probably leaving. But like if T has a good if he turns it around, like T can be remembered as a good Bengal. But if he doesn't and he leaves and doesn't get as much money as he wants, like a year and a half ago, T was like everybody's favorite Bengal. And now a year and a half later, it's like we got 13 games left of this guy and hopefully a playoff run. And then he's out and he's going to go be this shitty team's number one receiver and get paid $25 million a year like he wants. But these are the glory days, man. Like he has a chance right now to really turn it around and be a part of something special.
Yeah. Oh, I agree.
That's just really well put, Jake.
When he gets his
guy caught the first touchdown in the first Super Bowl touchdown in the Bengals franchise in 80% of their fans' lifetimes.
Right. Yeah. No.
Like,
and when he gets his money, if he does do that and he gets his money, it's going to be on a team that's like Chicago or somewhere. He's not going to be going to a team that's ready to roll. They're not going to pay him that kind of money. So it's going to be a lower.
He scored 2 touchdowns.
Team.
He had 2 touchdowns in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
The first 2 Bengals Super Bowl touchdowns in 35 years.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, I was having a conversation with a friend, and it's interesting how the free agent wide receivers never go to a good landing spot.
No.
The only ones that wind up going to good landing spots are the ones that the divas that demand the trade, but have all the equity in the world, the Devontae Adams and Tyreek Hill. And look, before a couple of years ago, those types of trades were unheard of. Maybe they were just 2 anomalies and may never happen again, or will be
AJ Brown too.
AJ Brown, absolutely. But same mix. T. Higgins, put up or shut up, man. I think there's plenty of season left that this book hasn't been written.
Right.
I can't even tell you what chapter it's in terms of the future of T. Higgins. We still could be in the prelude. But if he gets right with the rib and gets out there and not all of a sudden, Burrow's back to right, the line's clicking, he can go back to doing exactly what he's been doing, which could get him $25 million here in a franchise tag. And it could be a long-term contract here. Probably not, but also could get him the diva trade to Kansas City or whoever.
Right.
Like if he leaves, that's fine. It's a business. And as a team that's going to win 10 to 13 games for the next 8 years, like you're going to see really good players come and go. And like Jesse Bates did it. Like he had a good year last year and everyone knew he was halfway out the door, but he concentrated, had a really good postseason and is remembered as personally, I mean, one of my favorite Bengals of all time, like since day one. Like I didn't lose any respect for Jesse Bates. He's a safety. They were never going to sign him. Like fans need to understand that that's how it works. And I think from the players' perspective, they also need to understand that and say, well, if I want to be remembered of anything in this franchise, the team that drafted me, the team that, gave me this platform, scored 2 touchdowns in the Super Bowl for them, like it's time to play.
Yeah.
And I don't think T is like quit. Like I don't want this to come off as like all of us saying that he's quit because he was hurt and like he's only played 40 snaps his last 2 games. So he's gonna get healthier and get more run and probably be fine. But like he's important to this team. Like he's really important.
And the Jesse Bates analogy is really perfect because when you listen to the interview when we played Atlanta in the preseason, you could see there was an amicable parting of the ways. He knew Dax Hill was his replacement. He embraced the fact that to make his last year count, and he got the money he wanted in Atlanta. So, you could just see he had nothing but praise to talk about the Bengals in that interview. And you could tell there's no animosity or anything. T, if he winds up leaving, could have that same exit if he takes the second half of the season seriously. And like I said, he should be motivated because he's playing for that, he's putting stuff on film for the next team. So
yeah. But by the way, Jesse Bates is the highest graded safety in the NFL right now through 6 weeks.
I still have him on fantasy. We have individual defensive players, and I picked up Dax Hill and I kept Jesse Bates, and it's perfect. So I no complaints.
If T's average at best the rest of the way, let's say it's a mix of little good, little bad, but doesn't return to form of last year, I don't see us tagging him. Will somebody still really give him $25 million a year for 4 years?
25? No.
What will he get?
That's a lot.
What will he get? A major payday? Will he get a holy?
Yeah. Oh no, he'll
he's done enough.
T at 25 years old. I think he's gonna be 25, maybe almost 20. He's not turning 26 before the season next year. I don't think. He was a 21-year-old at the college.
He's 24 right now. So
yeah. So 20. So next year is his age 25 season. I mean, he's gonna be the biggest free agent on the market.
So he'll still get wide receiver 1 money even if he doesn't return to form.
Yeah.
But it'll be to Carolina or Chicago or...
Oh, he is a total Panther. He's a Panther.
Totally is.
Might as well just trade him right now for a pick that they don't have.
There you go. So, all right. So your disappointment was the same. It was also T. Higgins.
Yeah, it has to be. I mean,
Devin,
if you take out Burrow and Zach Taylor, who I think have both been a huge disappointment. That's by the way, that's twice where 2 of our 3 wins are because of Lou and not Zach.
Right.
Fucking bozo.
Yeah, but one of the things I had that was disappointing was our run defense because we were shut down.
Yes.
So I could audible if one of you guys had mine. So I had.
Do I get to say any of mine before you guys?
Yeah. I thought you were T also, but give us disappointments. Then we're going to move on to something positive.
Yep. This is proof for everybody listening that we don't script this and we don't talk beforehand. Because my 2 biggest ones were T. Higgins and Nick Scott. Mike Hilton's been a little bit of a disappointment, has not been great, got his interception, but overall tackling, just defensive tackling. We're getting way too many 3-yard plays turned into 8-yard plays, 8-yard plays turned into 15-yard plays. Defense won us the game in the second half on Sunday. But yeah, we got to do a better job against the run and initial tackling, line of scrimmage tackling.
Yeah, that's it. No, how many second and shorts were we in a couple of these games where it could have been, 2nd and 7 or 8, and you're in 2nd and 3, and it's just a different, and then you're giving up the conversion. Even if you play good run defense, 3 yards in 2 plays, you're going to give up. So,
I will say, sorry, Mark. If you remember that first drive, not to make it about one game because we're going more high level on this show, but if you remember that first drive against Seattle when they just marched down the field, Kenneth Walker had to have had minimum 30, maybe as many as 40, 45 yards on that drive and picked up 8 yards every play. I went back and looked at the box score that night. He only finished with like 75 yards. So we did do a phenomenal job the rest of the game.
Right.
But yeah, there's plenty of memories of getting gashed in that initial drive and many other games this year.
Yeah, well, he looked like Gale Sayers on that first drive. I mean, he just couldn't. You hit him and it would just bounce off and get another 5 yards. Yep. So, all right, biggest surprise of the first half.
I'm gonna go first. I'm gonna steal the show and go first here because I don't think like I'm gonna go out of the box here.
Okay.
We mentioned a potential franchise tag for T. Higgins. I think the Bengals are going to use the franchise tag in the offseason, and it might not be to T. Higgins. You guys want to know who it might be on?
Yeah.
Wait, hang on. I want to think. Give us a second. So it's probably going to be that draft. It would be that draft then, the Higgins draft. It would have to be.
Think I'm more outside the box. You're close.
I'm not 100% on all the franchise tag rules. It's not Logan because he's re-signed.
Well, so somebody whose contract's up this year is the only rule. You can't franchise a guy 2 years left on his contract.
Something like that. I don't know. Go ahead. Go for it.
I think they might tag. I think they might tag Jonah Williams.
Yeah, you know what?
He's been really good. He looks good at right tackle. He looks really good at right tackle. No, I don't. That might piss him off. It might piss him off, but that is a spot that they have not been able to fill in the Joe Burrow era.
Yeah.
Like they got the left tackle. He's been fine. Brown has been fine. Hopefully he plays on Sunday. I think he will. But Jonah's been really good. Jonah's been really solid. Him in the like some of the running game stuff, because I think watching it from a naked eye on the TV, Joe Mixon has had a lot more of those like 5-yard, 6-yard runs than in the past. Would you guys agree? Like there's been more of like second and shorts. We're not backed up at all when we run the ball on first down. Like we have a heartbeat running the ball. This is because of Jonah Williams.
No,
he's been really good. He's been really good in space. That was one of the biggest things moving him to the right tackle for the wide zone stuff is because he can get still upfield into the second level. Now you move him to the right side. He's been opening some holes. He's been good.
You know what? What you just said, and I wouldn't be upset at all if that's how we used our franchise tag.
Well, Jonah would be
nice. I don't know if the numbers are there, but it would be nice if we could franchise tag him and then work out a long-term deal because we'd solidify Brown and him if we just accepts the right side. So I really like that. I wouldn't be that sounds really good to me too.
Jonah's he's through 6 games, played every single snap, highest run blocking PFF grade of his career.
Yeah, no, I've seen the PFF scores each week and he's always up there, on right tackle.
I remember we talked about it. Jake and I talked about it years ago. I don't know how familiar it is because he only did it for a year or two. You'll remember the number, Jake. But he played right tackle in college, protecting to his blind side because that's the blind side.
He did.
Right. So, yeah, no, I like that. All right.
And by the way, one more thing. He has not a lot of pressure or he has not a lot of sacks since week 2.
Wow. Yeah, no. I love this. I love that. That was awesome, Jake. All right, I'm going to go next just because you kind of mentioned him in passing. If you go back to the draft show, I called this draft pick. I said, well, if we don't take a corner in the first round, we can always take DJ Turner out of Michigan in the second. And then it happened because he had all the attributes I thought Lou would like. I thought he was a perfect Bengal. And he's done everything. I mean, to me, I expected him to be good. I didn't know how much playing time he's going to get, but he has played 144 coverage plays, 15 targets. He's only allowed 5 receptions, 0 TDs, 2 passes defended, and he's got a 42.4 passer rating allowed. I mean, the guy in the first 6 games, he's done everything we asked him to do, and he's just, like you talk about youth and us not being able to pay the defense, he's bought us some time between him and CTB. DJ Turner. And like I said, go back to the draft show if you don't believe me, because that's exactly what I said. Don't take a corner in the first. We'll get Turner in the second. He's a perfect Bengal. So DJ Turner is my biggest surprise. I knew he'd be good. I didn't know it would be this fast. And this is what this is why I'm hard on Murphy, because that you can make an impact, even if you're not playing as many snaps. So, but like I said, let's move on from Murphy. DJ Turner, that's my biggest surprise. Devin, what do you got for us?
So I'm going to bounce around a little bit, and I'm going to cheat the category a little bit.
Go ahead.
But I will say one surprise, and it's not even on the year. It's since weeks 1 or 2. I hope you and Keith talked about it on the 2 post-game shows because he was awful weeks 1 and 2, but he's been a lot better the last 4 weeks. Another Michigan draft pick this past year. Mr. Robbins has been punting the ball a lot better.
Yeah.
Now, big picture, meaningless. I just said that for fun because we all killed him, and rightfully so, the first 2 years. And look, Drew Chrisman is very entertaining on social media, but Robbins has been great. But my number one, I'm not going to call it a surprise. I'm going to call it my biggest excitement because he's kind of been my guy. And I put an order in. It's coming. My man CTB has arrived, and he's a stud. It's not a surprise because he showed out last year, just like DJ is showing out this year. But he's looking like a long-term staple item in the defensive backfield. He's absolutely phenomenal. He's also fun on social media, leading the dance in the locker room. He got his pick 6. My jersey's on his way. He got another with 2 picks this past week, if I'm not mistaken, right? And he's phenomenal. He's been with Awuzie hurt and Hilton down.
Yeah.
He's been a leader, and he's just working awesome.
Thank God. I mean, Awuzie has been awful.
Yes.
Like, thank God for CTV. God, like, thank God.
So, no, it's
and like both you guys name corners. Like, Awuzie is a free agent after this year. I see no way in shape or form where he comes back other than on a veteran discount if he gets hurt again or something. But they'll probably end up drafting a corner in the first round because they're going to sell, or maybe even sign one. But our 3 corners right now are Turner, TTB, and Hilton.
Yeah,
and hopefully Awuzie comes back. Like, if it will just be better, like if Awuzie comes back and plays well. But right now, he's depth. He didn't start last week. DJ Turner got the start.
Oh, I didn't realize that. And Jake, that goes to my point about the turnover of defense. And now the defense is young. The offense was young 4 years ago. Awuzie comes off this year, if I'm not mistaken. Hilton comes off next year, and then Hendrickson's locked up. I think Reeder is close to coming up.
Yeah, Reeder is the next. We should be, if we don't have a plan, our first round pick needs to be a Reeder replacement.
Right.
Next year's draft. I mean, address that.
Are we sure Reeder's not up this year? Are we sure it's next year?
He could be. But I feel like, didn't he get an extension?
No.
He is done after this year. DJ Reeder is gone.
Yeah. So like I said,
they might resign. They might resign him. They might
franchise him and draft his replacement in this upcoming draft, but that's a position that needs to be addressed in the draft early coming up this year. If
the Bengals lose DJ Reeder, that's probably like an extra win that's just gone.
Yes.
He's not good.
Agree.
And I remember sitting next to Jake the day they signed him. I've never seen him. I don't know that I've ever seen him as excited as he was, because that was year one of the Bengals coming out in free agency. I'd never heard of the guy. I looked him up. I'd never seen him. Meant nothing to me. And Jake's like, this is one of the best players available in free agency. This is a monster signing.
Yeah.
And they weren't even supposed to get him. They came in last minute and stole him from Denver. Yeah. They weren't even supposed to get him.
Nose tackle's not a glamorous position, but when you had like Wolford in his, in his heyday for New England, I mean, he was right there. Like I said, it's not a glamorous position, and people don't understand. Hey, why can't we just run between the tackles? Well, you can't, because you have this roadblock right in front of you, and that's what Reeder's been.
How about Tony Siragusa? R.I.P. to the Goose.
Yes, absolutely. It's just like I said, it's not a sexy position. You don't get a lot of sacks. You will sometimes hit a gap, but most of the time,
the grave digger.
Yeah, most of the time it's just there. So, all right, I love that. No, that was awesome. So, and then so we're all done with our good stuff. Now, your bold prediction. Bold prediction. It could be go anywhere with it, but it's your bold prediction. Who wants to go first?
I'll kick it off if you don't mind.
Go for it.
All right. So it's not even on purpose. I wore this shirt for the recording today, but 2 years ago, CJ Uzama came up with the slogan, "Why not us?" Last year, the slogan was, "They got to play us." Right. We don't have a slogan yet this year. So I don't know what the slogan's going to be, but my bold prediction is we come out, play well against San Francisco, and rattle off 7 straight wins, maybe even beat Kansas City, but I'll give us a loss against Kansas City, beat Cleveland, and finish 13-4.
Okay. Hey,
that would be 12-5, right? Yeah, that would be 12-5. So we come out and win.
No,
of 8, and then 2 out
If
of
you only have us losing one game the rest of the year, then we go 13-4.
No. I said we lose San Fran.
Oh,
You know,
oh.
you know what, Mark? You
You
wanted
just
both.
said you
Hang
said
on.
we play well at San Fran. You didn't say
Right.
whether it was a win or a loss.
No, I'm going to say we play well but lose to San Fran, and then I'm going to amend it live on air. How many games is that? 10. We rattle off 10 straight. Give me
Okay.
13-4.
Wow. That would be, if that came true, I'd be one of the happiest Bengal. We all would be happy, but man, this grin would be like the Joker grin, ear to ear.
And I think I might have found I probably should have thrown this in the surprises. I might have found the key. So we talk about this, off recording about Mark. You and I are very superstitious. Jake, kind of, because he couldn't not be coming from me.
Right.
But I'm as superstitious as they come. I have an outfit. It's become my postseason outfit that I wear for the last 2 years. My younger son had a baseball tournament last year for the Buffalo game, and my outfit is a certain t-shirt and my Bengals pajama pants with my Bengals slippers. I wore it to Brady's game. I wore the t-shirt, the pajama pants, and slippers to Brady's game because we were playing Buffalo. I watched the entire game on my iPad. I didn't miss a snap. Everybody left me alone. I watched the game. I watched the Bengals game. My point is, last week against Arizona, we were up against the wall, and it was desperate times. When desperate times call for desperate measures, I broke out my Joe Knows t-shirt. That's my playoff shirt. And what it comes back to, I'll give you the whole story. I hope you don't mind if this goes for an hour.
It is what it is.
We don't have a game for another week and a half.
Right.
So it actually started by accident. 2 years ago, when we played the Chiefs, I happened to be wearing my Joe Knows t-shirt and my Bengals pajama pants. We all know what happened. We won the game that clinched the division, and it was December, right? Maybe even January.
Right, January.
It was January 2nd.
It's actually cold in Arizona. People think it's 100 degrees year round in Arizona.
No.
It gets cold in Arizona. It was 60-ish degrees. The pool's about 50 degrees. I went in the pool in the outfit. The outfit immediately went in the dryer, and I'm like, well, we just beat Kansas City and clinched the division. This is my outfit for the rest of the season. I have about 24 Bengals t-shirts. I wore a Bengals t-shirt every day the rest of the season through the Super Bowl, different Bengals t-shirt every day. But every Sunday I put on my Joe Knows t-shirt and my pajama pants. Last year, I don't remember which game clinched the division, but whatever it was, I knew we were clinching the division that day. That was the initial day I broke out the Joe Knows t-shirt, the pajama pants, wore it the rest of the year. And 2 weeks ago against Arizona, I broke out the Joe Knows t-shirt. We won. I wore it this past Sunday. Brady had a game. It was actually 100 degrees. And the rule is, by the way, none of the shirts get washed for the rest of the playoffs. I have a little ceremony when we get knocked out. I hold each shirt up, put it in the washing machine. I thank it for its service. And then nothing else can go in the washing machine. So I wore the Joe Knows shirt to Brady's tournament. It was 100 degrees in a doubleheader. So this shirt is going to get pretty ranked pretty quick, but I don't care. That's the key to the second half of the Bengals season. And I apologize for going so long.
No. And there's so much to comment on there. Number one, of course, nobody bothered you in the stands with your iPad. You were in your
Why were you even there? Why were you at the game?
So I will say it was a big tournament. They were playing in the semis, the championship, and it was a really good. Your brother had an amazing weekend. That was actually the tournament he was named player of the tournament. I couldn't miss it.
You got to be a good father, but like I said, of course nobody bothered you. You were the crazy guy in pajamas and slippers in the stands. So but that's a great story. Also,
yes,
I'm the same way when it comes to jerseys. If I have a jersey that I've worn and I go, wow, we blew this game and I was wearing that jersey, and we blew that game and I was wearing that jersey literally has to go off the grid for the rest of the season, and it doesn't come back out, and it has to earn its way back into the rotation. So I'm the same way, and you're just like Paula Abdul. You talk to your shirts when you wash them. She talks to her shoes and apologizes to the one she's not going to wear that day. So, it all works. I love that story. So that was awesome. So, all right, Jake, you want to do your bold prediction, or you want me to do mine?
You go.
All right.
You're not going to like mine.
All right. Well, you're not going to like mine, okay? I think, okay, and it's a bold prediction, a crazy bold prediction. I think that Zach Taylor gets Coach of the Year. I think we go on a run. It hates a ball. You're talking about a 13-3.
You're
Okay,
right.
this is the place for this kind of statement. Okay, we go on a crazy run. The year Zach actually deserved Coach of the Year, they gave it to Vrabel, and their argument was he managed the Derrick Henry injury so well. And I was like, yeah, but he had a playoff team, and they got the 1 seed. That was the only thing he did. I didn't think he deserved Coach of the Year, but on that same rationale, I think we go on a big tear like you predicted, Devin, and Zach Taylor gets Coach of the Year for managing the Burrow calf injury. I think like I said, it's not crazy. Well, it is crazy. That's why it's a crazy bold prediction. So that's my prediction. Also,
What
I
are
do
the
have
odds right now?
$50 on it. So
What are
I
the
get
odds?
$1,000 if it happens. So
Coach of the Year is such an interesting.
What's the number right now? Because it's 5
what's it
to
at
1
now?
at the start of
I
the
bet it
season.
at 21 before the season. It's probably doubled that, but I have 50 at 20 to 1 for $1,000. That was the only futures I did because everything else was too rich.
All right. Well, Jake's
I'm
going to look it up.
Coach of the Year is insane right now. I mean, Mike McDaniel can like commit a crime and still win that award.
We don't know. No, you don't know that. Listen, we had the same crazy thing last year.
Or Dan Campbell. We got to beat McDaniel,
and then it didn't happen. So,
I think that
the only award that's locked up is Comeback Player of the Year, and we don't need to discuss that on.
Yeah, no, it's that was it. You wanted to bet all these people, and DeMar Hamlin just needed to play. He just needed to make the team and play, which he did. So he's going to be Comeback Player of the Year.
DeMar Hamlin has not played a single defensive snap. They might need him honestly pretty soon.
Right,
they're fucked.
He was active.
They might need him pretty soon.
He only dressed one game.
And he played a special. He played on special teams, but he has not played a defensive snap all year.
Like I said,
but they might need him pretty soon.
That's all he had to do, and they will need him pretty soon because they're dropping.
All right,
on the defensive side. All right,
before you go, Jake. Before you go, plus 8,000.
Okay, so it's now. Yeah, okay.
80 to 1.
And I bet it
McDaniel.
I bet it at 2,000. So there you go.
All right, my bold prediction. I hope I'm the face of every Bengals fan base saying, look at this bozo in mid-January. My bold prediction is that the Bengals will miss the playoffs.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
All right, hey.
I think they lose to San Fran. I think they lose to Baltimore. They're gonna somehow lose to Minnesota because that's all my fault. Like that's my fault. Minnesota will beat us because fuck me, right? That's that one I'll take the blame for. I've been
You've
the
already
Vikings
got
haters.
The Cleveland loss is already your fault.
Why is that? What? Oh, because I picked them.
Yeah.
No.
What?
The inevitable Vikings. The inevitable Vikings loss will be my fault. I promise. I'll take that one.
I don't ever blame any of us for anything. People always say to me, well, you weren't wearing the right shirt. I'm very superstitious, but
you're right.
I realize that I don't have that kind of power over time and space. Where
you're right.
What I wear or what Jake says is what costs us the game. So, like I said, I won't blame you, and I'm hoping you're wrong. So hopefully at the end of the year, I can go, Jake, your bold prediction was BS. But
you're right about the superstition. But when we lose to Minnesota, it will be my fault.
So
it's all because of me.
So, depending on how much you listened to his podcast last year, Mark, it will be his fault.
Okay, all right,
it's my fault.
There you go.
I don't think 9-7 gets in. I think the AFC is too.
9-7 definitely does not get in.
It's still a 17-game schedule.
Yeah,
guys.
and it'd be 9-8. So 10-7.
9-8. 9-8.
Yeah.
I don't think 9-8.
100%. 9-8 only wins you a crappy division if you happen to be lucky enough to be in that division. That's all 9-8 gets you.
So, should I give out? Should I give out my pick, Mark?
Who are the 5 losses to? San Fran,
KC.
You said
Jacksonville.
Oh,
Baltimore.
Matchup.
I do. That doesn't mean that thing we're gonna win. San Fran, Baltimore, Jacksonville, Minnesota, KC.
He's got that Minnesota in there. That's the kicker. See,
that Minnesota loss is gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad. And I'll be at that game. And I'll be at that game, which means we're definitely even.
If you're going, we're definitely losing.
Yes.
All right,
need
so we're
to
gonna.
change your plans. And by the way, Jake's got a good buddy from Minnesota who's a diehard Vikings fan that will absolutely own Jake if they beat us.
Right. Well, here's the thing. Devin started a GoFundMe page to pay Jake enough to not go to the Minnesota game. That's what we're trying to do. So
Yeah, it's a whole weekend plan. We're gonna go see Arizona Purdue basketball at the Field House in Indy. I think that's where it's at. It has to be at the Field House in Indy. Where else would it be? And then drive to Cincinnati that night. Go to Bengals Vikings.
Right. I don't think we lose to Minnesota. I think we take care of business at both of those games. That's the Colts and Minnesota. Good teams win the games they're supposed to win. Of all the games, those are the two that we have to punch those two.
Yeah, except for the 3 times this year the Bengals have lost as favorites.
I'm not. Listen, that was in the rearview mirror with Joe's calf and bad weather. We're looking forward here, so I'm not the. So
it is kind of funny how the Bengals have been favored in every single game this year, and then they're going to come out of the bye with being dogs 3 weeks out of 4 weeks.
Yeah. Oh, if they have us as an even bet against Buffalo, then we're a 3-point dog because Buffalo's on the road. That's so.
All right, Mark. Should I give out my pick for the week?
Yes,
we're not doing 2 picks anymore.
I want your pick.
All right. So just because for new viewers, this whole thing started, I was so confident in Tennessee to beat Florida. I gave out Tennessee +6 and outright.
No, Florida to beat Tennessee.
That's what I meant. What did I say? What did I say?
Said the other. It was Florida.
Oh, no.
And I had an amazing week that week with your money line. I money lined it on a parlay to really boost it, and I took it on a teaser and a straight bet, and I won all 3. So I loved that pick.
Then the next week we had Ole Miss over LSU at +2.5. They won the game outright. Yep. Next week after that, we had Oregon -21, faded Colorado. Did you see what Colorado did this, by the way? Blowing a 29-point. Oh, that was hilarious.
They are they are who you thought they were. Right?
So we had Oregon -21, and then the next week after that, we started giving out 2 picks. We had
Notre Dame and then
no 2 weeks ago with the Mizzou and LSU. What was the pick that won? Oh, I can't remember. It was ASU. It was against Colorado. It was ASU plus the 4.5 against Colorado. They lost the game on a last-second field goal because they let the Colorado drive 90 yards in 25 seconds, but they covered. Mizzou didn't cover. They got backdoored. Last week we had Notre Dame, game of the century. They wheeled, and then South Carolina -2 blew a 10-point lead with 2 minutes left. So if it wasn't for backdoors, we'd be 7-0. But that's not how this shit works.
No.
But we're sticking with the SEC. I guess the S in SEC stands for circus because we're going back to the SEC this week. We're taking Arkansas -7 against Mississippi State. Okay. For full explanations, tune into the Bleacher Report gambling show hosted by me on Saturday mornings on the Bleacher Report app.
Yeah, and I want to point out 5-2 is not a record to hang your head about.
With two outright dogs.
When you're giving dogs and money lines that take a parlay from 3-1 to 5-1 because you throw a +178 on it. I will understand how we put them together. Like I said, nothing to hang your head about. Tune into Jake's podcast. I mean, he's giving away.
Yeah, giving out Arkansas -7. I'll bet my house that Mark teases it down to Arkansas -1, but we're giving it
exactly
we're giving out Arkansas -7. I think Arkansas. Their schedule has been really, really hard. They've played 3 consecutive impressive weeks. Just took Bama to the wire after an impressive week against LSU 3 weeks ago. Arkansas is a really good team, and Mississippi State is not. I think 7 here is a wrong number. One of the people I talk to who has a model, he makes it -13 actually. So I don't get into the whole model stuff, but it's interesting stuff. But I think it's a full-on desperation game for Sam Pittman and the Hogs.
So
just to plug Jake and what he does on all of his own podcasts obviously are great, but he's on the Bleacher Report. It's a national, it's a gambling podcast, right?
It's just a show, live show, Saturday mornings.
Live show. They tweet out his picks and he went 3-0 last week. Not only did he have Notre Dame, but he also had Washington money line, and his quote was, "I'm going to sprinkle a little on the Washington money line," and he had the Washington Oregon over.
There you go. No,
and I don't.
Which almost got fucked. It almost got fucked. It was 22-21 at halftime. I needed 3 more touchdowns. These teams going into halftime with 6 straight touchdown drives between the two. We were sitting pretty, and then no one scored a touchdown until like the fourth quarter. And then if it wasn't for if Oregon got the first down on the last drive on the fourth down and they would have needed it out, the over would have lost. But since Washington got the ball back, went down the field and scored, and almost got fucked. I
don't give picks. I'm gonna give a tip. My tip of the week is if you're a football fan, don't watch the Raiders-Bears game. Tyler Badgett against Brian Hoyer at quarterback.
Did anyone here know that Tyler Badgett like existed, but until he came into the game?
No. I thought I knew who. I remember when he was signed, because Jake and I do the Dynasty geek out on fantasy, so we know all the draft. But I thought I knew who he was. I saw something on Twitter today that said,
I know what you're gonna say.
A year ago today, or this week,
maybe not.
Last year, Tyler Badgett threw 2 interceptions to Colorado School of Mining. I'm like, and I thought it was a gag tweet. I'm like, I thought he went to Purdue or Michigan. I thought he was a Big Ten kid. I don't know why. Maybe there's another name that I'm reminding of.
Fun facts.
I looked him up.
Oh,
the guy was in like NAIA or D3.
He was it's Division II. Tyler Badgett, that's how you pronounce his name, is the all-time NCAA touchdown record holder.
Yeah,
Division II
at Shepherd College.
There it is.
No one who has ever played collegiate football has thrown for more touchdowns.
Yep.
Maybe the Bears have been starting the wrong guy all along. I don't know.
This weekend last year, he threw 2 interceptions against the Colorado School of Mining.
School of Mining. Who knew they even had a team?
Yeah.
Colorado School of Mining. So, you know what? Jake, you nailed it when you said I will bet Arkansas minus the points on a card, and I will 100% tease it even. Guaranteed. I love to do that on teasers. Take -7s, make them. It's like betting a bunch of money lines. So, yeah, that's exactly what I'm gonna do with that pick, and I'm sure it will be a winner. So,
yeah, it's gonna be another great weekend of football. Personally, for me, I get to experience Ryan Day losing me more money again. I can't wait.
There you go. All right. If you don't subscribe, please subscribe. It's all we ask. Like I said, this is by fans for fans. Please hit the thumbs up for us. Jake, before we sign off, tell them where they can find your great podcast.
Jake Circus Podcast, Spotify and YouTube, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Bleacher Report college football live show on the BR app at 11 a.m. Easterns every single Saturday morning. All
right. Well, we went long, but hey, it's the bye week. We only get one show, so we did 2 shows worth.
Is this an hour long? Did we just go an hour long?
This is our longest show ever. So, the podcast will like it. YouTube, hang in there. You get Jake's pick if you hang in at the end. So, all right. With that, I'm going to say, hoot everybody, and we'll see you after the bye.